Hey y'all, good morning. It is the morning after your session 2 deadline. So I wanted to record a few minutes of feedback for you guys. And I'm going to start off with saying how impressed I am about your time management skills as an entire course. You guys have been rocking it. I'm very, very appreciative that you guys have taken my advice about managing time correctly, and I hope that this continues on in this class for this semester, but I hope you're also able to apply those tactics to your other classes. I'm just super stoked that you guys have done so well this far. So for starters, let me say, I always like to use this analogy of playing some type of sport or game, but college is a game and you sort of have to learn how to play it. So that means there are rules and expectations within college, just like they are within a sport or a game that you learn how to play. And once you learn how to play it, once you learn what those rules are and those expectations are and those methods of getting things done, it goes much easier. So I always like to give some feedback, some tidbits, some helpful information along the way to kind of help you with that. So for starters, I will say it is very obvious when you skip watching the session directions video. So make sure if you are short on time that you at least watch that video. When formatting is done incorrectly, it's because you likely didn't watch the video. So don't skip there. Make sure that you are watching those videos. I spend time making them every week because I know that they are helpful if students are able to watch them. So if we look in our Moodle page, which is what you see on the screen now, be reminded that once a deadline passes, this session will no longer be at the top of your Moodle page. So for example, you see this now. Session 3 is the one that is at the top because it is currently the one that is active. Session 4 will become active on Friday morning. You will have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the Moodle page in order to see the sessions that have been submitted thus far. So that is where you will find session 2 if you go back and look for it. So the email etiquette Cornell notes, let's talk about those real quick. Most of them were absolutely awesome. Just remember that you have to submit the assignment through Google Drive. And if you don't know how to do that, or you feel like I'm speaking language that you're not catching on to right now about how to submit, just shoot me a simple email and let's do a video chat for session 3 or 4 whenever you have to submit something, and I'll walk you through how to do that the first time. Sometimes Moodle is very, very peculiar over the files that it will allow me to read. And so we need to make sure that we're submitting our work from our Google Drive. I wish that I could show you how to do that on my end, but I cannot because I don't have the same screens as you do in the submission links. So I apologize for that. However, I'm happy to meet with you electronically to walk you through that. Typically, it only takes one time and then students are like, oh yeah, I got this. All right, so moving on to the introduction email. So just remember, Miss Guy is going to do her very best to give you detailed directions every time we have an assignment. So I just want to review those directions were here in this assignment. Make sure that you pay attention to each one of the little bitty directions because it does make a difference. So that's one of those you have to learn how to play the game things. In ACA especially, and I hope in your other classes you see this as well, I try to be very transparent with my expectations. The reason why we are so transparent in ACA with expectations is because we are mandated by the state to cover certain things and to assess certain things. And so my directions are very, very clear, at least I hope they are, because the state requires us to assess those things. So if you see a direction and you think, I don't think I'm going to do that, don't do that. Make sure that you follow each direction. So let's look at number 3. It says subject line should contain ACA introduction. That's in quotation marks. So that means it definitely should have that in the subject line, and your course section number. There's a walkthrough here of how to figure out what your course section number is, but I know that I have told you many, many times before, it is OL01. So you had to have those 2 things in the subject line. So I noticed that was a few places where people got a little mixed up there. And then the email, so the actual writing that you're doing, has to contain these 3 things here. An introduction about you, and that is more than just, my name is Miss Guy. I needed information about you because we're online and I don't really see you face to face. I like to know about you as a student. It helps us build relationships. Then you were to tell me about someone or some place that's been helpful to you during your time here. And guys, the answer is not nobody. That's not the answer. So remember, when you're given directions and you're expected to address something, you actually have to do it. So I can guarantee you that through the process of applying to the college, registering, getting your textbooks, working on financial aid, scholarships, payment coverage, somewhere along the line, someone has been helpful to you. And then the third part was to look at the website and find something that you thought was interesting. Again, the answer is not, I didn't look at the website or I didn't find anything interesting. So this is one of those, learn how to play the game. When you're given the directions, you need to make sure that you hit all the expectations. Okay, so moving on from the introduction email and the Cornell notes, let's talk about the gradebook really quick. So if you are in our Moodle course, I'm going to get back there so you can see this. Hopefully your screen looks like this. So remember that you need to be working from top down. This is how you should be maneuvering in our Moodle course. There is a way in a student view that you can get into this, click right next button, and it just kind of keeps moving the screen to the right, and new things pop up. That is really not a good way to maneuver through this course. It may work better for other courses, but it is not the best way to maneuver through this course. So make sure that you're continuously clicking on this link at the top that has our course name in it, and you're returning back to the main page and then finding your next item. I'm going to show you up here in the left-hand corner of my screen, there's these 3 horizontal lines. Now, my daughter has just finished up elementary school, moving into middle school. They call this the hamburger. I don't know what you call it. I'm going to say it's 3 horizontal lines. So if you click that gray box in that upper left-hand corner, you will see something like this pop up. Now, your things may be different on this side because I'm an instructor and you're a student, but for the most part, this is what you're going to see. You're going to click on grades on the left-hand side right here. And, I was able to hide my grade book with your names in it. So you should see something pretty similar to this. Again, mine's going to look a little different because I'm not a student. And then this is where you will scroll to see your grades. So remember, when those 10-point when those 10-point assignments close, you can't return to them because you're not allowed to redo them. So here is where you would check your grades. And you'll see each item in the grade book is attached to a session number. So thus far, you should only see grades for session 1 and session 2. If you have an item such as session 3 quiz, where you can take that before the deadline passes, that grade will show. But items that have to be submitted and graded by Ms. Guy will not show until after the deadline when they are graded. And you can kind of scroll down and you'll be able to see each one of the items. So if you're confused about grading or something like that, this is where you go. For the introduction email, you should see that is the only grade in the assignment section. So don't panic if you see these little lines. That just means the assignment has not been either assigned, submitted, or graded yet. If you see a 0, that's when we need to have a conversation, because that has the deadline for that has passed, and I did not record a grade for you. Okay, so one last thing is the journals, because we had journals last week, but we didn't have them this week, but we do have them in session 3. So I snagged a few journals, and I, on purpose, made them very fuzzy because I don't want to give away other students' writings. And so I'm just showing you 2 different examples. So these are great examples of a journal assignment that has been formatted correctly and has enough content to earn full credit. The journal assignments are 10-point assignments, but they do count for a certain percentage of your final grade. So it is important that you create these with that in mind. And so you'll see here how the questions were copied and pasted, and then the student gave more than just one simple sentence, and their font color was changed. And so it is very obvious, even with the text blurred, that the student put in a lot of effort for that journal. So just keep in mind that is what I am expecting. Also, I guess Miss Guy has forgotten how to spell the word journal today. Just noticed that. All right. I hope that this has been beneficial. I hope that you have some tips and tricks in your efforts in learning how to play the game of college. If you have additional questions, please email me. And like I said, if you need help with learning how to submit assignments through Google Drive, I am only an email away, and I will be happy to video chat with you and walk you through that the first time. If you don't ask questions or tell me that you don't know how to do something, I don't know to help you. But my job is to make sure that you're successful. So please reach out to me, and I will be happy to help you with that. I hope y'all have a fantastic day and a great rest of your week.